Welcome to our live Q&A about confidence with QuickBooks. It would not be a live call unless I pulled a thought of the day. Let me know if you've been here before, if you have questions about Commerce QuickBooks. I thought what we would do is I'll share with you a little bit about why, who is Commerce QuickBooks for? Is it for you? Is it not? We'll probably dive into QuickBooks because, I've got both desktop and online open and ready to go. And then we'll do a Q&A and I'll explain more about what Commerce QuickBooks is, why I designed it with you in mind. But let's start. Let me know if you've been here before live. I always pull from the Life Loves You deck from Louise Hay and Robert Holden. Let's see, what are we meant to hear today? I was sharing, I cannot believe it's already Wednesday. I feel like, almost got two cards. I feel like the week went by so quickly. Let me know, have you guys already filed your 1099s? Getting ready to file them? You know what 1099 is? I choose peace. That is our thought for today. I choose peace. Life does not want you to suffer. You struggle because you let life love you only so much. Where there is drama in your life, let grace in. That's our thought for today. So one of the reasons that I always pull an inspirational card is a lot of times you might have been like, oh, can I get to the live? Or maybe you're catching the replay. Hello, you made it. And let's just have some fun. Plus, I just love inspiration. I like doing both, right? So the reason I teach QuickBooks, if you don't know this, is because I want to make an impact in your life. I want to change your life for the better, whether it's with QuickBooks or with some business tips or some inspiration, whatever that may be. All right, you guys got your 1099 started. That's good, very good. Let's talk about Commerce QuickBooks because you're here because you're probably wanting additional support with learning QuickBooks, but let me know. Are you choosing to come to today's class because you're because you're brand new, but you're not sure where to start? 2, you've been using it for a few years, but you are still making mistakes. You need to learn how to do it right. Or 3, you're figuring it out, but you're ready for more. Let me know. I choose peace. So let's not talk about taxes. Okay. 1099s and W-2s do not need to be scary. You just need check and balance system in place to make it easier. Okay. I can give you guys some tips, but I have the step-by-step tutorials inside of Commerce QuickBooks, and I can share that more with you later. So it doesn't matter where you're at. Some of you said you're brand new. Some of you are scared. Some of you have been doing it for a while. Maybe you're all of them. Beginner in my first month, welcome. You are so smart to be here already. Most people find me after they've used QuickBooks for years and are like, oh my gosh, I just need somebody to teach me this thing. So if you're brand new, you are at the very beginning. Very good for you. So I often get asked, why do you teach QuickBooks? You probably have noticed I'm a little different. If you've been watching any of my YouTube videos, you've seen me on social media, you probably have noticed I just see the world a little differently than the average person who teaches QuickBooks or does accounting in general, right? But I do it because I want life to be easier, as I was sharing before, for business owners, their teams, in 2 ways. 1, tax time easier. We don't want to stress at tax time. And 2, all year long, making it easier that anything comes across your desk, you know how to enter it. So you've been using QuickBooks for 30 years, but you switched to online. Yes, it is different. I'll do a little navigation in online today so you can kind of see maybe how to navigate it. They're always making changes. But I think if you understand the core concepts of QuickBooks, you get the why behind what you're doing, which is one of the things I love to teach. You'll notice that everything else becomes easier. Okay. So for a moment, I want you to imagine being able to open up your QuickBooks and knowing exactly how to use it. Okay. So one of the things I often see people miss the mark a little bit, because you could be honest, if this has been you, where you've been using QuickBooks or you've paid for QuickBooks for the last year, but maybe you've entered no data into it, or you're just now catching up. You try to do it, but you always do the catch-up game. Now, for clarity, that was me at one point too, where like life would get away from me, and next thing I know, I'd have like months and months to catch up. Yet, my long-term goal would be for you. So I am that person too. I have been that person in the past. Is to get to the point where you actually use QuickBooks as a dashboard, what I call a dashboard, so you can make decisions, right? So what I'm sharing with you is that mastering your financial dashboard or your reports within QuickBooks is the best and the fastest way to truly understand your numbers, like what's happening in your business, so you can make decisions, right? So often we only think about QuickBooks at tax time because that's when it's on our top of our mind, but really we want to be using it all year long. And if that's what you want to do this next year in 2026 in this year, that's what I really want to help you do as well. Yes, we want to make tax time easier, but we really want to be able to understand our reports. So let me know. That's me, no data entry, entered. Joy, I think it comes down to a few things. I just want to speak to this real quick. I think it comes down to like knowing how to enter it. It comes down to like having a way that you do it. You know, it's kind of like, do you go to the gym consistently? If you're the person who's built it into a habit, you do it. If not, you don't do it. Even though it was funny, one of my team members had something going on and she was like, I'm just ready to hit the reset button on January. And I'm like, that's actually not how this works. So often we think January 1st is going to roll around and life is just going to be different. Like magic happens, a new year, everything changes. And it's an opportunity to make change, but you actually have to do something different to get a different result. Let me know if that's been true for you. You realize that like just hoping and praying, like crossing your fingers, isn't actually a strategy. And I don't mean this in a mean way. I mean this in like, it's possible to change, but you have to be proactive in doing it. You know, they say that most like New Year's resolutions in like the first few days are already over. What I want you to say is like, I want a community. I want the training skills. I want the place to actually, when I have questions come up, I can ask it, right? So if you just think that it's going to happen and the reason, I know what I was going to say too. The reason that I'm just sharing my perspectives. You can choose to take them or not. But one of the things to do is to start putting things into practice. So for example, using bank feeds in QuickBooks could help you catch up a lot faster where you import data. So you don't have to create every invoice, do all those things unless you need sales tax, right? And you guys can ask me those questions. I'll give you suggestions on like what's the fastest way for you to enter in your data. So inside Commons QuickBooks, I teach you the why would you use this feature, but you don't need to be using all of them because you don't maybe have time. So just know that even though QuickBooks can do a lot, you want to start with the basics and then build on it when you're ready. And you may be, I just need the basics, you can let me know, or I'm ready for the more. Because those are different paths really within learning QuickBooks. Okay, so where are you at with your ability to read your finances right now? So I often say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like when I look at my profit and loss, do you know what a profit and loss is? Maybe we should start there. Do you guys know? Tell me in the chat because I want it yes, anybody not? Because if you don't know, we should probably know. Okay, so let's start here 1 second and we'll come back to this. But really my key for being here is I want you guys to learn. Right? So there, some of the stuff you may already know, some of it you may not. So let's jump in. I'll show online and then I'll jump into desktop. If any of you guys are using desktop, let me know. I want to make this screen where it like fits a little bit better so you guys can see it all. Okay, there we go. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so brand new. Okay, are you using desktop or online? Please tell me so that I can get you what you need. Okay, I'll go back and forth. I'm just gonna make this full screen, whatever. Oh, it's kind of weird. You know, I love technology, but sometimes it doesn't want to work for me either. Okay, there we go. I just want you to see the screen on the left. Ignore the black on the right. Don't worry about it. Okay, so when you come in here, all of you should be pulling your reports. So for tax purposes, there are 2 reports to pull. Do you know what these 2 reports are? Let me know in the chat if you know what they are. The first one is your profit and loss. The second one is your balance sheet. Why these 2 reports? Because your profit and loss, if you don't know this, write it on a piece of paper. Whenever you come to something with me, you should always have a pen and paper handy because I love to teach, okay? And there's going to be things to write down. So your profit and loss is going to always be, and I'm just going to pick date range. So one of the things to know is your profit and loss does income minus expenses, and at the very bottom, it says whether you had profit or if it's a negative number, you had a loss at the very, very bottom, okay? So the purpose of a profit and loss is to just tell you where did your money come in for which accounts. That's what's listed there, what's types of accounts, and where did your money go. And the purpose of a profit and loss is to see how profitable you are and to give you a gauge on Where do you maybe want to cut your expenses? Where could you maybe spend more time to generate more revenue, right? So my question for you, and something to think about, is on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being completely dialed in, where is your current ability to read your reports, like designed for you? Because you may or may not know this. When you first set up QuickBooks, whether you did it or someone else, it asked you this question. It said, what industry are you in? Does anybody remember answering that question? And what it's asking you really is, how do you want us to list your different accounts? So it creates what's called a canned chart of accounts, creates a list based off your industry, and that list is what you see when you come in here, okay? So rate it for yourself. Where is it at? If you're at like a 2, you can't really make decisions. You definitely are gonna want to reevaluate how your report is being generated, right? The way this happens is through what's called your chart of accounts. This is the list of titles. Every business, every accounting world, any software you use has a chart of accounts, okay? That's the technical term. It is just the list of titles that you have to use for your accounts. Whether you're desktop or online, you have a chart of accounts. Mine is just taking a moment to load, so there it goes. And so you'll see within the chart of accounts with online, it tells you the name of the account, the type of account it is, and then it will give you more detail, and then it'll give you a balance over here for some accounts. You'll notice it says BAL on the bank accounts. That's because the second report that we use within QuickBooks is the balance sheet. That is your assets, your liabilities, and your equity, okay? That's what do you own, who do you owe, and what do you have left, basically, to keep it simple. Then you have here the P&L, the blue, is your profit and loss. And these are all the accounts that will show in your profit and loss. They are your income and your expenses, okay? And the reason it does that is to try to make it a little easier for you to understand. So if you feel like your reports are on a very low scale of readability, you're in the, below an 8, it means that you really want to come back in and start reevaluating how your QuickBooks is designed. And those are the types of things we talk about inside Conference QuickBooks. Because every time you enter in a transaction, whether you're creating an invoice, which creates accounts receivable, you do sales receipt, which takes the sale and the money and puts them together, or you go and you just record your income in your bank feeds. Every time you do that, it's choosing an account from your chart of accounts to put it towards. It's choosing an income category. Or every time you go to enter in an expense or a check or a bill, you're choosing an account. Those titles, whether you ever realize it or not, the way the system works for you is that it picks one of these types of accounts, okay? Does that make sense? And so if you can't read your reports, it's because your system wasn't designed for you. And that is what I love teaching within QuickBooks, because then you can start making decisions. You can pull your reports and actually understand what they're saying. Does that make sense? Will you let me know? All right, let me check and see if we have any desktop users. It's not changing my screen. Hold on. There we go. It wasn't. My button wasn't working for a moment. I just want to check. Yes. Desktop? Okay, so let's go talk about desktop for a moment. Okay. I have so many overlays of things. 1 second. Oh. I had opened it, but it didn't fully open yet. We'll give it a moment. So how many of you, what was your rating? Let me see real quick. Oh, that's opening. What was your rating that you gave yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? Some 8s, that's pretty good. It just means you need some more fine-tuning. Trial balance, yes, so you guys are talking about the reports. Don't use any 0. Well, the thing is this, is that every business needs to file taxes, right? Nonprofit, maybe you don't have to, but you still need to know how profitable you are. So you really want to get in and start looking at that report on a consistent basis so that you know what's going on, okay? Then you want to also be looking at your balance sheet, because your balance sheet is going to tell you more about what is the assets that you own, the liability. So if you ever want to go in and get a loan, they're going to ask you for your balance sheet. And if you don't have it, you're going to find that you're struggling, okay, to get the loan, because they're going to say, we want to know where your assets are. We're going to want to know where your loans are, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about Commerce QuickBooks, and then I'll come back as my desktop is being a little fickle, and we'll go back to that a little bit later, okay? So when you're in here and you're thinking about, is Commerce QuickBooks the right fit for you, let me tell you what we include, and then we'll go back through QuickBooks as we do it. So Commerce QuickBooks is not only going to teach you how to do it, but it's going to help you implement it along the way. So I built this with you in mind after teaching QuickBooks since 2006. It's like 19, 20 years almost. I know what you need. And the first step is starting with the foundation. So what I see a lot of people doing, and let me know if this is you, is that they go in and they start seeing, create an invoice, enter a bill, but they don't actually know how it's going to show up on their reports. So they get to the report and they go, yeah, it's not actually designed for me, right? Like we talked about the scale. Part of that comes down to what I call starting with the end in mind, making sure you understand the software, cash versus accrual, setting up your bank account correctly. If you're switching from desktop to online, that you have that set up correctly. Then the second pillar that we focus on is, where is your money going? Okay? Where is your money going? So you get to learn the best way to track your expenses. There are different ways. So you can write a check, you can enter a bill, you can use bank feeds. The disadvantage to some of those things is that if you enter a bill, it's a two-step process. It gives you accounts payable, but you may not need that. It depends. If you're like, I'm way behind on my data entry, Candace, which some of you said you are, you're definitely not going to want to worry about entering bills. Okay? Why? Because it's an additional step. And you don't want to do additional steps if you're already behind. Can we agree on that? So you want to make sure that you're making your life as easy as possible within QuickBooks. That's my goal inside Commerce QuickBooks. So one, what's the best way to track your expenses? Do you need accounts payable? Do you want to just write a check? Do you want to use bank feeds? Bank feeds are great, but they're usually not the best way to start learning QuickBooks, because if you don't understand some of the core concepts, which we can go back into bank feeds in a little bit, you'll notice if you don't understand what each of those columns is, you're going to find that it's a huge disservice. Also, if you're going to do job costing, so my husband's hardwood flooring business, we realized we weren't charging enough. We originally took it over from my father-in-law, and he was like, oh, just drop your prices. No, that wasn't going to work because we weren't charging enough to make profit. But that's what a lot of businesses are doing. You're just making decisions based off your bank account or what you think is the right decision. But when you actually use QuickBooks to track everything, you can look at the data in black and white and you'll know exactly what's happening. Then we're going to talk about credit cards. What's the best way to enter your charges, but also pay them properly so that everything's tracked? And then also how to do 1099s, okay? 1099s are due if you're going to e-file within QuickBooks by the 27th. If you're going to paper file, you have till February 2nd, okay? Do you all know what 1099s are? I thought it was my screen. Oh, it's blurry? It's not blurry when I'm seeing it, but let me know. Anybody not know what a 1099 is? So a 1099 is when you work with a independent contractor, somebody who's not your employee, who provides services for you, labor, cleaning your office, janitorial service, those types of things. The IRS requires you to provide them a 1099 if they generate a certain amount of money, and depending on how you pay them, and depending on their entity structure. Okay? So subcontractors is what we're talking about. That's considered an independent contractor. If you pay someone payroll taxes, that is not a 1099. That's when you're going to be having a W-2. Okay? So make sure you get that out before they're late. But that's one of the things we focus on in the second pillar of Commerce QuickBooks. Then we start talking about the best way to track your income. This is the third pillar. We talked about this a little bit when I was in Commerce QuickBooks Online. There are 3 ways mainly to track your income. Invoices, which gives you accounts receivable, means my customer's going to pay me later. This is so you don't forget that somebody owes you money. I learned that the hard way. I teach QuickBooks, and one time I decided to, have you ever done this? Let me know that I'm not the only person. I decided to bill somebody on Square and totally forgot when I was still doing private sessions. And then the next month I worked with them and I went to bill them and I'm like, oh, they didn't pay me last month. They're like, oh, we didn't see the invoice, whatever. I would have caught that if I had it in QuickBooks where it was on a consistent basis. So the benefit of creating invoices within QuickBooks is that it gives you accounts receivable. It helps you track it, gives you a report. I also learned this lesson when I was working for a roofing company years and years ago before I ever started my own business. The owner would look at that on a consistent basis. He had 14 locations at the time. He looked at his accounts receivable every day because cash is king, right? So that's the benefit of invoices. Sales receipts tracks your sale and your payment in one step, but it's great for sales tax as well as invoices are great for sales tax. Somebody said, I'm having trouble with sales tax. We teach you how to do that, as well as credit memos, statements, payments, discounts, merchant fees, how to handle those properly. Remember, with merchant services, if you have them, you always want to do your sale as the gross amount, and then take the fee that they remove, like say 3%, as an expense or a cost of goods. Then you're going to have your NSFs and bounce checks. And as I mentioned, we do sales tax. Yes, you have to manually send the W-9, but you can get it done, Sarah, every time you create an invoice. It would actually be every time you do like a bill that you send to someone else. All right, next, the fourth pillar. So we've set it up correctly. We've entered all of our expenses. We've tracked our income. Now we're going to do the final step. We're going to have the check and balance system. Do you know what the check and balance system is within QuickBooks? We're going to talk about it. Yeah, so if you create an invoice and your customer never pays you, have bad debt, we walk you through that. Depending on if you're cash or accrual basis, you'll handle it differently, and then how you want to see it on your reports. And it will depend if you pay sales tax. Like if you charge sales tax to your customers and then pass it along. Because even if somebody didn't pay you, if you're paying sales tax on accrual basis, it will depend how you're going to write that off. Judy was just asking. All right, reconciling your QuickBooks is the check and balance system within the software. So it's taking an actual paper statement or digital statement and comparing it to what happened in QuickBooks. This is the fourth pillar. You need to be doing this with your bank accounts and your credit cards every single month. Your loans yearly, so you break out the principal and interest, okay? We're going to be also talking about bank feeds, transferring money between accounts, petty cash, credit card rewards or other income, and how to fix undeposited funds. Okay, so undeposited funds is where your customer pays you, cash checks or through a merchant service, but it doesn't immediately just hit your bank. It sits there until somebody takes it to the bank or the merchant deposits it. So often people hate undeposited funds in QuickBooks. Let me know if that's been you. It's only because you don't understand it. Once you understand it, it actually makes reconciling a lot easier, because if you had 10 customer payments in one deposit, you'll see that one deposit on your statement. So undeposited funds is the benefit of that, but it just sits in an invisible account, then you record it as a deposit. The thing is, if you don't understand undeposited funds, you could have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. I've actually seen millions of dollars where people just have it sitting in undeposited funds mistakes. What happens when you do that is undeposited funds, if it still says it's sitting there, but your bank account is accurate, you've doubled typically your income. You recorded it again as a deposit, straight to income, now you're overpaying in taxes. Okay, so it's one of the things we teach you inside Comms QuickBooks is how to go back and review your undeposited funds and fix them, okay? After you've done this, you set it up properly, you've entered in your income and expenses either in the more robust features or in the simplest way possible. You've reconciled it. Now and only now can you do what is one of my favorite things, which is grow your business and take it to the next level by optimizing your reports to be able to help you make decisions, okay? So this is the final piece. This is a lot of what people think they want at the end, but the truth is we need all of the steps to get there. This is what all the effort you've been doing is for, is to help you say, this is where I want to spend time. This is where I want to make adjustments. These are the levers I want to change in my business, so to speak. And then we also prepare for tax time. When we get ready for your tax special, we also talk about equity. So that's the fifth pillar. This gives you all aspects of QuickBooks so that you can email out your invoices. If you want to do rental properties, we talk about that. Property management, purchasing and selling of your assets, your loan payments, setting up users. Okay, so Comms QuickBooks is all 5 pillars. One of the cool things is because it's already all pre-created and you log into our training portal, you can go at your own pace and you get lifetime access. You can go back through it. Like we're getting ready to update the online videos, so you'll get access to those. I just created tutorials on how to do some of the changes for the W-2s, tracking of overtime for both desktop and online. the team is in the process of editing those. When they're ready, you'll get access to those tutorials as well. You also get access to our Ace Your Tax Appointment training. So if you're nervous to see your tax professional, it's probably because you're not sure what to gather. Like we talked about, making sure your reports are reconciled before you go to your tax appointment, making sure how to pull your reports, look at them, make sure you understand what's in them. But then there's some other documents that you're going to want to gather as well. You also get access to our payroll and year-end forms class. Hector, I just said that. Yeah, how to topics, how to qualify for overtime tracking. I literally just created a video on it. The team's editing it. I recorded it this week and last week, one for online and one for desktop. It walks you through it step by step. I could not find anywhere on the internet that actually taught how to do this. Online, it's a little easier because there's some, like the system's slightly built for you, but for desktop, you have to manually track it. And then there's some guidelines that you need to know for that. Like it's federal, but if you're in the state of California, like we are, you might have overtime over 8 hours, but that doesn't qualify for federal overtime. So we cover those types of training as well. We also have our quarterly and year-end forms. So if you need to process 941s, 940, my team uses this when they're going to process ours. So you can go through those trainings, W-2s, W-3s, 1099s, 1096, if you're going to print them. Remember, if you have over 10 forms, you need to e-file with IRS now for every EIN number. That includes W-2s, 1099s, and your additional forms as well. You also get access to our shortcut keys cheat sheet, mastering your debits and credits as well. And we're going to teach you about doing some cleanup. So this is a bonus we announced yesterday that you guys get access to. If you have old mistakes in your bank account or credit card that you need to clean up, I'm going to teach you how to clean these up step by step, okay? Because you don't want to be leaving them for year after year, because if you do, you'll notice your reports will be okay, but most likely if you have duplicates, your bank account, your reconciliations, you just have to keep looking at them. And in the end, if you made those mistakes, they're typically duplicates, which meant your original profit and loss from years ago was off. What a lot of people think they do is, oh, so my bank account has some old transactions, I'm just going to delete them. Have any of you done that before? Let me know. Yeah, the purpose of this call is to learn about what if Commerce QuickBooks is a good fit for you. So that's the purpose of this. So then this bonus, you're going to get access to cleaning up. So remember, you get access to Commerce QuickBooks and the additional bonuses. Oh, one additional bonus you guys get access to is our Mastering Bank Feeds training that we just updated and did. You're going to get all of that inside Commerce QuickBooks as well included. So you can go in and learn about all the changes that have happened with the bank feeds recently. As well as maybe you're thinking, can I do this? So this is what Joel shared. He's one of our alumni, and he said, all of the data I input, maintaining good records and keeping track and tracking all of my expenses and deposits makes me feel in great control of my company. My only regret is not finding you sooner in my QuickBooks quest to start all things correctly. That's why I said I shared originally, for those of you who were here from the beginning. I'm like, for those of you who are finding me from the very beginning, most people don't. And most people are like, oh, I wish I would have. But you guys have an opportunity, whether you've been using it for years, to now do it right, or if you're just starting out, to just learn it right the first time and not have lots of mistakes and errors. But you've taught me how to fix my problems, so thank you. That's what Joel shared. And Lori shared, I love how the program is set up and how everything is step by step. I can go through a class and try it out at the same time. So this is what I recommend. If you have like an iPad or something like that, setting up, or another computer screen, like setting up and then watching and doing, if that's the type of learner. There's different types of learners, but most people are kinesthetic. So it's watching it, pausing, and then doing is gonna be the easiest way to learn. The best way for me to learn is by doing. And that's what I find from a lot of people, is what she shared. And Betty shared, I have learned so much and feel able to navigate QuickBooks easier. I would encourage anyone to take the class before getting started with QuickBooks. That's what I hear over and over again. But hey, even if you've been using it like these people for years, you can still learn it. It's better to do it now than later, right? It's much easier to come in with the knowledge than to start with no knowledge, and Candace makes it easy to understand, and she takes her time to explain QuickBooks in detail. And Marty shared, You rock. Thank you for making QuickBooks what it should be, a simple accounting solution for business. This is the thing. QuickBooks can grow with you. So wherever you're at, if you're like, I just need to get my taxes ready, I get that if that's the season you're in. But then throughout the year, if you're like, okay, I'm ready to add more functions and features, you can. And this is one of my favorite things Alicia shared is since I've joined the program, I've learned so much, but this is my favorite part. I've been able to reference the videos and assist where I got stuck, feeling a lot better. I'm able to have time with my family and participate in more activities, right? So she's able to go to her kids' events and do things because she's not stuck at her computer trying to figure it all out or wasting time on features she doesn't need to be using. And Julie shared, it has helped me ease concerns and confirm what I already was doing correctly, but also taught me where I was wrong in the past and allowed me to correctly use QuickBooks now. I love that I can reference it back to the program at any time I have. Between the program and the Facebook group, I have been able to learn my daily business tasks much more effectively than I was before. Yes, you get access to an entire community, so when questions come up, you can get them answered. And Rona shared that it was her best decision she'd ever made. Everything at your fingertips when you learn to enter all of your data correctly and take the time to look for errors, right? So one of the things I teach you is like, as you start doing it in the future, when you go to reconcile, any mistakes you have, you'll fix it because you'll know how to do it as you go. You'll have awesome reports. She says, Candace leads you through every step and the classes are recorded so you can go back and listen at your own pace. So yes, we're talking about QuickBooks, but we're also talking about what's possible when you get to the point where you're at a 9 or 10 as your readability in your reports and the impact it'll have on your business. So as a business owner or a bookkeeper, what will it cost you if you choose like, I'm not going to prioritize this right now, but also what can you gain? Let me know. Joy shared, I bought QuickBooks Online in November only because someone suggested it and I have no clue what to do or how to access it. So we can teach you how to go, that you just go to QBO to log in. It's going to be with your username and password. Inside Module 1 will walk you through how to set it up, what you'll need to do step by step. Yeah, 120 hours per year, more time. All right, so let's talk about this. Bookkeeping services. Maybe you're thinking, maybe I don't want to do it. Maybe I want to start a bookkeeping business, or maybe I'll just hire somebody else. So let's talk about it. Let's say it's going to be $500 a month to learn how to enter all of your transactions, depending on the size of your business, process your payroll, which you'll be able to learn, be able to do your own 1099s, your own payroll taxes, your own quarterlies, everything you'll learn inside of Comms QuickBooks. In the next year, what will that look like? But then how many years are you going to be in business? You get to bring this skill with you. You can get started with Confidence QuickBooks for $197, then 5 additional installments because there's 6 installments total. Or if you prefer, you can pay in full and save at $997. You can go to commonsquickbooks.com, or if you're on your phone and you just want to scan this code, it will take you there. And when you go, you'll see you have 2 ways to join. So you're going to first choose if you want to do the installments or the pay in full. Once you do that, you're going to go to the next screen and you're going to choose, do you want desktop or online? Because they're completely different trainings. If you need both, there's an opportunity to add both at a special rate, but you can choose which one you need. And you're going to add in your email address. It's best if you use the email you already have with us to get all your bonuses synced. If for any reason you use a different email, just let us know, or my team will probably reach out to you to confirm. And then you're going to get a confirmation video from me and an email that will give you access to our training portal. And you're going to get in and you can start watching the training immediately. The training's about 20 hours, Heather, depending on what you want to learn and what you want to do next. So who is Confidence with QuickBooks for? You may be wondering that. If you want to feel comfortable with all areas of QuickBooks and not just a couple of them, you're ready to learn how to fix your mistakes and avoid them in the future. If it's a mistake from prior years, make sure to watch the cleanup training on that. You're either just getting started or maybe you're beyond frustrated. Let me know if any of these are you. Or you've used QuickBooks for years, but you feel like you're lost or you're only using a small portion of it. And maybe bookkeeping isn't your specialty, but you want to learn how to start managing your own books, or you want to start a bookkeeping business. And you're ready to walk through walk to your CPA, hand him a few pieces of paper or your QuickBooks file, and actually get compliments. That's what a lot of our students do. We do have a money back guarantee, so if Commons QuickBooks isn't what you thought it was going to be, you can email us within those 30 days and get your money back. And if you've been using QuickBooks for years, like Tracy, she sent me this message. She DM'd me on Instagram and said, which is so sweet. I love getting messages. Feel free to always message me as you have your wins. She said, my biggest win was finding you and learning QuickBooks. I'm not kidding. For 4 years, I only used to create invoices. And now I'm closed through October and will get my business stuff over to my accountant for tax preparation in January. It hung over my head so much and was such a huge stress and self-loathing, right? Because I know that QuickBooks is more than just about the numbers and tax time. It's the conversations you're having in your head. It's how you're feeling about things. She said, I told you this before, but I wanted to remind you. Then she came back to me, and as I said, she got a compliment from her tax specialist. She said, taxes done last week, submitted, check in the mail to IRS. My accountant said he was so impressed with what a technical whiz I've become. Now she's like, I don't know if I'm a whiz, but I'm definitely comfortable with taking care of my small business, which is such a relief since she was dealing with the loss of a child. As I said, QuickBooks is about more than just life, right? Or more than just about numbers. It's also your life. And she was dealing with her husband having cancer. She said, it has been hard to focus, but you made it easy. So enrollment is closing soon. It closes tomorrow for this cohort, for this public enrollment. We'll be opening again later in the year. So if you're thinking, I don't know if I have time right now, you can do it. But if you're going, I want this now, I want to learn 1099s, I want to be ready for my tax appointment, definitely make sure to join while enrollment is open. So I know some of you came with a few questions. Let's also jump into desktop because I didn't get to show you how to do that earlier, how to pull your reports. But if you're a desktop user, you're going to go over here to pull your reports, right? And you start looking at, you always want to figure out your time schedule, like time frame. That's how your reports will work. And your data will come up here. If you're thinking, well, all I want to know is last year, what happened, then you choose last year. You have your income, your expenses, and then your net income will be at the bottom, okay? If you're looking for where your chart of accounts is, it's going to be over here under list chart of accounts, and you'll see your titles. Now, it doesn't say P&L, but yours is the same. You've got your title, the type of account, you'll have all of your assets, then your liabilities like credit cards, accounts payable, long-term liabilities, equity, and then it's income and expense. And you'll see it says the type over here. And that will be which report they show up on. Understanding what report and how they'll go to each one will definitely help you better understand what's happening in your QuickBooks as you go through it, okay? So I want to make sure we look at that. Oh, I also said I would show you guys about understanding your bank feeds a little bit better, or like why it matters that you're still reconciling even if you're using bank feeds, okay? So when you're in here, if you're on the newest, like what's funny is QuickBooks does not have everybody on the same version. So some people it looks like this, some people has the old version still white, but it has a slightly different navigation. You have to let me know which one are you currently using. But when we talk about bank feeds, what bank feeds are is where it syncs QuickBooks to your bank account, right? So it brings the data in to QuickBooks. So you use your username, password, bring it in. You can also manually upload it here. So if you're way behind in data entry, bank feeds is going to be one of your best solutions. The thing though is that it doesn't always give you all the data. Like it doesn't automatically put a vendor in for you. It doesn't automatically categorize it necessarily where you need. Even if you're using the AI features, even if you have rules, and you should still be paying attention. Because if you just hit add here, you will have no vendor and it'll go to uncategorized income or uncategorized expenses, which if the whole point of using QuickBooks, let me know if this is why you use it, we talked about this before, is to make decisions or to make tax time easier. This is an IRS red flag. This is a tax professional red flag. Uncategorized, it means you weren't spending time in your books. You do not want to be doing this, okay? If you're needing to process 1099s, if you don't even put a vendor in, it will never be able to track your 1099s properly. So that's why even though bank feeds is great, it speeds it up. It's not where you want to start because it may not be giving you what you need to make decisions, okay? And as my students sometimes say, QuickBooks is as good as the data you enter in it, right? If you're missing some of this information, if it's not allocated, if it's not giving you what you need, you can't make decisions in tax time. It's going to be a lot harder, okay? So that's why I created Commons QuickBooks. It's to help you make this super simple, that it doesn't have to be hard, but you need the how-tos. You need the step-by-step guidance. That's what we have inside the training, okay? But I said I'd show you this. I wanted to make sure I did. Okay, let me go back up to the questions. Let me start from the beginning. Let me scroll up. Let's do this. Oh yes, so Daniel told you guys about how to do Zoom. If you're not familiar with it, it's the view. Okay. Let's see what the questions are. And if you haven't popped your question in, feel free. I'm running into the same issue with an invoice paid. QuickBooks changes it to unapplied cash. Sarah, the reason that happens is when you're creating a invoice and you have a payment, if the payment is predated, meaning you said I got the money before I created the invoice, it will do it as unapplied cash because that's not proper process in the system. The system typically does invoice, receive payment, and if the receive payment happened before the invoice, the system's like, we don't have anywhere to apply this cash, even if it applied it, but it's the dates are wrong. So that's how you fix it. Let me know if that makes sense, Sarah. Okay. What is best? I have desktop 2018, but want to learn online. So if you're still using desktop and you're happy and you feel like you understand desktop, you probably don't need to add it to within Commons QuickBooks. I would join the online variation. But if you just want to see like what I teach and how to apply the same things, you can always add the secondary version. Right now, well, enrollment's open for $297. So you get both desktop. You can add the secondary version. If you have access to Commons QuickBooks, I would start with the beginning. If you need additional support, you can add. We do the guided implementation. You can add that. It's right below when you go to, let me show you. If you want additional support, like sometimes people are like, I just really want you to look at my books. You do have a community, but if you want additional support looking at your books, you can add this additional option. People ask me all the time, will you do a one-on-one with me? So I was like, you know what? I can work with you guys for like a year. This is one way to do it. You get access to 2 calls with me every single month. One focused on implementing what you have inside Commons QuickBooks. The other is focused on our QuickBooks Simplify community where we clean up mistakes. If you want to add those, you can. So when you go to commonsquickbooks.com, you click join today. It'll take you down to our options. We have also added a 12-pay option. So if you need a 12 payment, you can do it here. If you want to get personalized support, you can click here to learn more about adding our guided implementation, or we'll let you know about ways you can do that when you, as you join inside of the 6 or the pay in full options as well. You can add additional support if you need it. You have the community, so you can ask questions. We have people in there that are like QuickBooks Intuit support that I have in there to help you. My team is in there, and the community is in there as well. And if they have a question, they're like, hey Candace, will you help us with that? They just ask, and then I give them the answer. But you can always, if you want me looking at your books, you can add that as well if you need it. It's something special we decided to do. Okay. I'm excited for this program for all of us. Yay! Welcome. We're happy to have you. So somebody asked, what's the difference between desktop and online? If you don't already have desktop, unless you want to add enterprise, you're just going to go to online. And if you don't already have online, like this is a new thing for you, you can go to CandaceCamphor.com/QBO and you can add it for 30% off for the first year. Looks like this. So there are 4 tiers. So what's different about online versus desktop is desktop, when you join it, originally you had pretty much every functionality within it. If you want to track inventory, those types of things. With QuickBooks Online, for classes and to track some of the more complex things that you might need, that's more at the plus and advanced. If you're like, I just want to get started, Simple Start will be a good fit for you. The difference is you'll see what's in bold is what changes from one variation to the other if you need that. Okay. So if you need that, CandaceCamphor.com/QBO, the team will pop that in for you. let me go back to your questions. See what else you guys got. Would you suggest entering all vendor bills, then all vendor bills and then pay them, or just pay them and then categorize the expense when reconciling the account? Great question. So it's going to come down to if you're what's called cash or accrual basis. Do you know the difference? You guys let me know in the chat. Do you know the difference? So cash basis means QuickBooks will show it on your reports when money is exchanged. Okay, so typically when people think of cash versus accrual, they just think of it at tax time, but you can actually use it to help you make decisions on your reports. Let me explain. Let's start with desktop since we haven't done a lot of desktop. So, and it's a good way to explain it. So when you're pulling your profit and loss, you have pull your profit and loss, you pick a time frame, which we talked about. One of the second things to focus on is, do you want it in cash or accrual? To answer this question comes to this concept. So cash basis is only going to show on your reports when you actually pay the bill. If you switch it over to accrual, the data will pull based off the date you entered the transaction, whether you ever paid for it or not. That's accrual accounting. So most businesses are on cash basis for filing taxes because they only want to pay taxes on the income they've received. Some businesses, depending on your business model, will do it based off of accrual for their taxes. But you can do both for understanding and managing what's happening on your reports. So sometimes people come to me and they'll say, I entered a transaction, but it's not pulling on my report. Why? And it's because if you use enter bills or create an invoice, that's accrual-based accounting, right? These both take 2 steps. So the first step is you enter the bill. The second step is you pay the bill. If you're using invoices, then the second step is receive it. Because accrual basis is, it doesn't matter if money's exchanged yet, we want to track that. So one of the things I love to teach is like, somebody came to me and they said, hey, Candace, I want to know, I'm cash basis, but I'd love to know on a report how much we've invoiced customers who've never paid yet this year. I'd say switch it to accrual, it'll give you everything you need. So there's 2 ways to look at this knowledge that I'm giving you. One is, what do I need for filing my taxes and then what do I need for making decisions? The question was, if I'm entering bills and paying bills and it's 2-step, should I be doing it? It depends. Are you cash or accrual? That's the first question, right? Because if you're accrual, you should always enter bills and then pay them because you need that data. If you are cash basis and you don't care about having accounts payable, you're honestly wasting your time to do that. You're wasting time, okay? So let me shrink this up again. I have my desktop behind it, so it's like peeking out there a little. So when you think about this, the same concept applies for online. If you're using invoices, it's accounts receivable and accrual. If you're using bills, if your accounts receivable, it's going to show, one second. If you want accounts payable, so receivables is customers, payables is vendors. If you want accrual, then you would use it. But the question becomes, what do you want? And that's what I teach inside Commerce QuickBooks. It's like everybody's going to be different. For you, if you're a cash-based business, you don't care about accounts payable, entering bills and then paying them is 2 steps. It's a waste of your time. I had a roofing contractor inside Commerce QuickBooks, and it was the wife doing the books. And she's like, my husband will go to Home Depot and he'll buy something with his ATM card or his credit card. And she would enter it as a bill and then pay it as a payment. And I'm like, that is a waste of time. You don't need to do that because you're a cash-based business. And if at the moment you get billed is the same moment you pay for it, there's no date range difference. There's no purpose in doing that. You want to be using other features within QuickBooks like entering credit card charges, right? Not using it as a bill. Did that answer your question? Let me know. Yay, yeah, you feel like Commerce QuickBooks be a good fit because you want to do virtual assistant. Love that. Need to carve out regular time to dedicate to doing the work. And I have somewhere to ask questions. Yes. Yes, so inside Elizabeth, she asked about sales tax. Yes, inside of Commerce QuickBooks, in the 3rd pillar, we talk about sales tax when it comes to customers because sales tax is related to your customers. Okay. I use desktop and I never want to change. That's fine. If you're on a current subscription of desktop, just keep paying for it. You'll be fine. If you have a really old subscription that you're not paying anything for, also you can keep using that as long as it works. Just make sure you're backing up your QuickBooks on a consistent basis in case you ever have an issue with if you're a desktop user. Some of you use both desktop and online. I love that. How do I enter or add a client, their information to QuickBooks? So is what your question is, Tanya, is how do I add another client? So it depends. If you offer the bookkeeping services, you can add them as an additional company within your access using the same email address, or you have them set up their QuickBooks and then they add you as a user. Okay, either way. If you want to post that inside Commons QuickBooks, we can give you a link to where to go for that if you need it inside the community. For tax purposes, do you need to pull in the correct accounting method? Yes, Mary, yes. You want to know the difference. So if you're cash basis, you want to make sure your report is on cash basis. Now, if you don't use invoices or inter bills, technically if you pulled it on accrual, it'll still give you the same data. So that's where you get to start saying, do I want more robust features? Do I want additional reporting? And then you use the features based off of that. Can you show us again how to get there? The thing is, that was a little while ago. That was like 40 minutes ago, but I don't know what that meant. So you could put it again, like what you're referring to, and I'll look it up. How can I make a billable expense in QuickBooks Online for the basic membership? So what that would be is if you're online, I think what you're actually asking, Amanda, is how do you do a reoccurring transaction within QuickBooks? So you enter it and then you just make it reoccurring. We walk you through how to do that. If you're on desktop, that's called a memorized transaction. So a slightly different title, but same functionality. Jill's like, I missed the first few minutes. This will be on our blog and YouTube later, so you can always check it out. What's the best way to convert PDF bank statement to get it into QuickBooks? You don't have to convert it anymore. Sandy, are you using online? Let me know. We have a tutorial inside Commons QuickBooks on how to do this. But let me show you something. So now when you come in and you want to upload it, you just come over here and you click Upload from File. And then you just drop it in here. And you say, which account do I want it for? And that's it. And then, well, there's a few other steps. Like you got to make sure that it syncs to the right account. You got to make sure it's a couple of things. But in general, that's what you do now. Yes, I put in an invoice and then I get paid. So that's a two-step process. Good nugget there. Thank you. You're welcome. I don't know what I was teaching, but I'm sorry it was blurry. Hopefully the replay won't be. I'd assume same way, don't enter expenses if they're already in the bank feed. Okay, so yes, so this is how this works. Let's go talk about bank feeds a little bit. When you're in here, the thing to know about bank feeds is if you already entered them manually, then you're just going to match them. If you didn't enter them manually, then you can enter them within. I'm clicking the little button, but it's like, let's go back. It's thinking. Oh, not responsive. Lovely. It's always when you want to teach where it's like, we're gonna give it a moment. Does this happen to you with your QuickBooks? We'll give it a second. But know that when you're inside doing your, the only thing about online that I don't love is it's all cloud-based. So it's all based off your internet. And when your and my internet's not bad, but it's like when it wants to be, when I went to do it earlier today, it's going to pull it up. It's just thinking. Okay, so the purpose of bank feeds we talked about before is it allows you, let me see if I can get this on a different one because that one's being tricky. 1 second. So on bank feeds, if you've already entered it, you don't want to enter it again. If you haven't already entered it, that's where you're going to want to do it. So let me pull this in and see if I can get. Have you guys heard of the QBO test drive? I'm just giving you guys all kinds of extra little tips. The QBO test drive, what this is and I talk about this inside Commons QuickBooks, is you can go in and create a sample file within QuickBooks, a test drive. And that way you can test out what you're learning without impacting your actual QuickBooks, okay? So if you have the accountant version, up on the upper right, you can click and you can go to test drive. If you're using the, see, this can work. Haha, it did. Okay, great. Otherwise, you can just Google it and it will take you to the test drive for online, and you can come in here. A lot of times I teach from these because I can go in and give you guys examples of things that are already built. Like that's what I'm showing on the other one that I was showing as well. It's like a sample file. For desktop, we call them sample files. For online, it's a test drive. But you can get in and you can enter in your transactions. So if you've never done that, I highly, highly recommend it. Okay. So when you're in here and you're looking at this, you'll notice if it doesn't naturally recognize it, it means it doesn't see, the system doesn't think it's already been added. If it's already been added, you'd match it. You wouldn't re-add it. If it has the same transaction, multiple amounts, it'll ask you which one of these you need. We go through all of this and so much more, all the things you need to know in our master bank feeds, which you get inside of Commons QuickBooks. Yet, you don't want to be doing the uncategorized. And if it doesn't recognize it, and you think you've already entered it, go check, because it doesn't always recognize everything. But you can go find it and you can do some extra cool stuff with that as well. Okay. Jennifer, hopefully that made sense for you. Quick question. Help me understand why owner's equity reads higher versus totals in the checking account. The owner's equity and your bank account are not the same thing. Did you know that? I hear that we can pay off some debts because of a high equity and there is not enough in the bank account. Okay, so let's talk about this. So the way equity works, let's go into QuickBooks because I want to teach you guys. I like teaching, so you're here to hang out with me, so might as well teach. This is the type of stuff I cover more in Pillar 5. So when you process your transactions throughout the year, it goes on the first report that we talked about, your profit and loss. Okay. And what happens is at the end of the year, your profit and loss has profitability or loss at the very bottom. The very, very bottom. Okay. That's, I'm not sure. You'll see it at the, mine's not showing the very, very bottom. I need to zoom out just a little bit. I wonder if I can do that while I'm in here. Maybe not. But you'll see that there. Now, your profitability at the very bottom shows up later on a different report. Does anybody know what report that is? I'm not going to give you a clue yet. We'll see if anybody knows. I'll go back and look at the chat in a moment. Your balance sheet. So what happens is, year over year, whatever your profit or loss, this example has a lot because it's my training file, so it has like all different types of things people have asked me about. But your retained earnings number, one of the facts of your equity, is how profitable you are year over year. Okay, so that number is where your money came in and where your money went out. Now, credit cards, for example, are cash basis. The moment you charge on your credit card, it is an expense to you, whether you pay for it or not. So these are those moments where you're like, well, my cash says one thing, but my bank account says something else. Why? Well, because you could have been paying for loans. You could have taken money out of your business, out of equity, and that is why the amounts aren't the same. There's lots of reasons that your bank account and your equity don't match. One being, what is your profit or expenses? Do you use credit cards or not? Yes or no? And then you have owner contributions and distributions. So contributions are money you've put into the business. Distributions are money you've taken out. So your profit and loss does not track money that you take out of your business. Okay? What's interesting is a lot of times people come to me and they'll say, why does the money, my draws that I take out, not show up on my profit and loss? And that's because it's not actually a business expense. You're taking equity out of your business. Okay? The same is true with online. If you look at your profit and loss, you'll have a net profitability. That number closes out on January 1st before any other transactions happen, and it gets moved over to your profitability, your balance sheet. Now, if you pull your profit loss, it'll always still show. If you look at your retained earnings, On desktop, it'll actually let you open it. On online, it won't. But if you come in here and you say all, what are all the transactions that ever entered, you'll notice there's a closing entry in here. Closing entries. QuickBooks naturally does that for you. You don't need to do it. The other entries that are in here is we close out opening balance equity, and you can close out, depending on your entity structure, your contributions and distributions into your retained earnings. So that number could be adjusted based off maybe what you've put into the business or how you've used it, whether or not it's what's in your bank account. So what's in your bank account will vary. Your profit and loss is not a direct relation to yours. The other report you could look at would be, does anybody know? The statement of cash flow. So the statement of cash flow shows you where was your beginning balance, where did your money come in or go out, and where is it at now? Have you paid down loans? What did you do with your money? And that will always impact it. So hopefully that's a little extra that it is supportive. So why does QuickBooks Online show contractors under payroll? Haha, they try to make it confusing for you. That's a great question. So I think they were trying to make it easy because they know that the average QuickBooks user is not an accountant. So they're trying to like put in a place where they think you're going to look for it. Okay. So when we come in here and you're looking for this, move this over just a little bit so you can see it better. When you come over here and you go under, let me move my screen a little. You come over here, you'll see that under expenses, you have vendors and contractors and 1099s. That's actually where they really live. But they like to confuse you and also put it under teams and have contractors. But contractors, employees, you'll see here are listed as two separate things because they are not the same thing in accounting. They're not technically the same thing. They confuse you, but they're not the same thing. The other thing to know, let me go back over here, is that vendors and contractors are technically similar. The moment you go into a vendor with QuickBooks Online and you mark them as eligible for a 1099, it puts them then under contractors so that you can do direct deposit. So what QuickBooks tried to do for online to make your life easier is to offer an additional service where you can do direct deposit for your independent contractors. Okay, so that's the other reason they're under team, is so because you can do direct deposit for each of them. But the moment you come in to a vendor, the people and places you spend money are vendors. If you didn't know that, you might want to write it down. And you come in and you edit them and you say, yes, this person is somebody who's eligible for a 1099, which is down here. That will then move them to the contractor screen so that you can give them a direct deposit, like pay them like an employee, but they're not. The big difference between a contractor and an employee is on employees, you're taking out extra taxes and you're paying workers' comp. You're less likely doing that with an independent contractor. That's part of the reason you've chose to make them an independent contractor, is so that you don't have to take care of all the extra things that an employer takes care of. So you would get a 1099. It's a special 1099 for unemployment, because the purpose of a 1099, the government has people or different government agencies, even if you're a nonprofit, you can still issue 1099s, is because they want to attract, like, where is all the money that someone's been paid but didn't maybe claim it. And that is the purpose of a 1099. So if you have unemployment, you weren't going to get a regular W-2 because you got paid from a different way. So now you're going to get a 1099. Okay. If I invoice someone who never pays, oh yeah, we talked about that before for bad debt. We covered that in module 3, depending on your cash or accrual. Starting a new job and I have a mess with no reconciliations was done for 2025. The first thing you're going to want to do is start reconciling 2025 so you can fix anything. Because, I mean, you need to check with your employer, but they most likely want you to go back and fix it. If they don't send you a W-9, like they don't want to do it, you put in their name and their email address, or their mailing address, I mean, and you just put in zeros that says they were not willing to give it to you. But the best practice is that as you pay throughout the year, if you know you're going to pay someone with a cash or check, ACH, something like that, and it's not going to be with a credit card, then you want to get a W-9 so you have their information so you can provide them one as soon as you're going to pay them at least $600. before you give them the money, you ask for a W-9. I tried reconciling, but I have sales that show up that was deposited into another account. So what that's going to be is learning if your stuff's going to the wrong account, how to go in and move it to the other account when you did the deposit, or you put it into the wrong account and transferring the money between one to the correct account. There's different ways you can do that to fix it. This is a great question. Is this helpful for someone who's never used QuickBooks before, or there's a more, so you would, yes, Commerce QuickBooks Ashley would be the right fit. You just want to start in module 1. Yeah. Yep, we covered the qualified overtime tracking, just created training for that. Is there assistance for passing the certification? Are you talking about the QuickBooks Online certification, Snow? Let me know. I often have people come to me who are CPAs who are like, I get what needs to happen, I just don't know how to do it within QuickBooks, or pro advisors who've already become certified, and they come to me and they're like, hey, I still don't know QuickBooks, right? So my focus isn't so much about certifications as it is teaching you how to, anything that comes across your desk, being able to enter it. You can email us after you've gone through all the training and be like, hey, can I get a certificate? You can. But I know a lot of people who have like QuickBooks certifications that don't feel like they fully understand the software. And that is my goal. Yep, we have a training on how to do billable expenses. Using journal entries, you would just need to mark them as you would go in and do it. You can go through the training. If there's a video you need, just let us know. I'm in Michigan. Welcome. We use ADP for our payroll and filing payroll tax W-2s. I assume that we will be tracking they will be tracking the overtime. Yes, Kathy, they should be taking care of all of that for you. Remember, there's a federal guideline, so it's anything over 40 in a week, not per day, that qualifies it as overtime. Do you trash cleanups where the clients have months or years of unfiled taxes? So this is the thing. If you've never filed taxes with using the QuickBooks reports, you can go back and actually clean up the originals transactions. It's just that if the taxes have been filed, you don't want to alter the reports. My retirement account left me a lot of mistake pop-ups too. Oh, retired accountant. I read that wrong. My retired accountant left me a lot of mistakes. Yeah. You can learn how to do it right. Yes, so some of the training modules, all of desktop, there's PDFs to go with their video. With online, as we're updating the videos, there'll be PDFs added when we go back through and update those. When you sign up for the training, do you get access to both? You get access to one, desktop or online, you choose, and if you want to add the second, you get it at like 70% off right now as a special when you do it. I'm scared to erase anything. You want to learn how to do it right, so go through the training. If after going through you need more support in like vendor cleanup or customer, that's when I would consider adding Simplified. QuickBooks Simplified is our other community. The thing is if you don't know how to enter QuickBooks right, you need to start there. A lot of times people go, oh, I'm just going to clean up my mistakes. But if you don't know how to do it right, you'll notice you are missing a lot. So we have a community where you can get support. If you want to add, you can add the VIP. Yeah. Our VIP calls won't be till next week is our first one, and we emailed about that. So you should, or they'll be emailing about that later today. Is there an option to have you one-on-one or your team? Look at your QuickBooks. Yes, Sarah, we do them as group calls. You can add that as guided implementation. There's 2 ways to do that. You can pre-do it for an entire year and add Simplified at the same time. That is our guided implementation. It's right below. I shared that earlier. It's right below. Let me pull this up so I can show you. Oh, just had to change screens. Here, right below, you can click this. It's got our guided implementation for a year. You can choose to do that, or you can choose to do the monthly option for that. Or when you choose to do the 6 payments, we have an opportunity there for you to do it, or inside of the painful option. So all of them will give you an opportunity to add that if you want to add it when you get there. You can come back and add it later too if you want. Okay. What other questions? Do you teach desktop versions as well? I do. I love both. I'm currently a partner in my business, but I do not handle the accounting and QuickBooks. But next year I'm taking over full ownership. Congratulations. I want to be able to open it. Yes. Even if you have I was sharing this the other day on one of my live classes that I taught a class years ago. I taught a class for the Builders Exchange. I came in and I was going to share more about the story. I was like, you don't need the whole like history of that. But I came in and I taught a class. Okay, now I feel like I should tell you because you're like, what are you talking about? So my original job, like my very first job through Express Personnel, is I got put at a Builders Exchange as a receptionist. And then I left there. I ended up taking accounting classes, worked a different job, learned QuickBooks, or wanted to learn QuickBooks. And I went to them and I said, hey, do you guys have a class on learning QuickBooks? And they're like, no. We've actually been looking for somebody. And I was like, really? If I go learn it, can I come back and teach it? And they laughed at me. 6 months, it was like 6 months later or so, I had mastered learning QuickBooks because I love learning it. It's like it was one of those things that was kind of easy because I have an accounting brain. I went back and taught the class. That was the part that I was going to skip initially. Came back, taught the class, and ended up teaching multiple classes for them. But the point of the story originally was proof you can do whatever you want in life. Side note, prove others wrong in life. I think that's the entrepreneurial side of me. Okay, but I was teaching the class, and there was a gentleman in there, and he had 2 employees who came. And he had a very, 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 very successful construction company. And I asked him, I said, what made you decide to come to my class even though you have your team in here? And he said, every business owner, especially at his level, he's like, even though you have people who are doing it for you, you should understand how this stuff works. And I want to understand what they're doing. And I was like, whoa, that was just like one of those moments for me. And now that I have team, I get it too. It's like there's a part of you that also wants to understand stuff. The reason I share this is even if a year from now is when you're going to take it on, you definitely want to be looking at understanding it. Even if you have a bookkeeper, like you want to co-work with them. So that way if they end up leaving or you want to make more pivots or changes, you're on the same page with how you want your reports. I will tell you over and over again, a lot of people come to me, and maybe some of you are feeling this way. You've had a bookkeeper and they just make changes and you're like, why are you making changes for me that I don't want, right? So learning how to do QuickBooks at any level, whether you have somebody else or not, I think is a really important skill. Do you need to purchase each year to get the updated modules? No, when we update it, Susan, you'll just automatically get the updated training. Good question. Is there an annual fee? No. If you choose you want to do Comms QuickBooks, it's like whether you do the pay in full or the installments, once you've paid for it, it's yours, the training. If you want to come to like additional calls with me, you can choose to pay for those. But other than that, no, it's all, you get everything. Is there support in getting linked to my client profile? They should just, we can give you an article on how to do it, but it's very easy. They just go in and add you as a team member or send you the account link. We can give you a little screenshot on how to do that. It's very easy. Okay. All right. I've seen QuickBooks Online trainings for thousands of dollars. What is the difference? Okay. I want to say this in a way that comes authentic. There's all different price points for training. I've heard of some people who are spending like $5,000 for training, and people come to me and they're like, I wish I would have found you first because I just spent way too much money on it. I would say that my goal is I want it to be a great investment for you that helps you take your knowledge to the next level while still being at a price point that makes sense. And that's where I chose. I've actually kept Commerce QuickBooks at a very similar price point for years now. Someday I may choose to increase it, but I've tried to always be at this place of like, I want you to invest enough that makes you want to do it, but not so much that you're like, I can't do it. That's my goal. And I would say that's the difference is just choice on how people choose to do it. We'll say that. I'll say that. Do you need to understand accounting or bookkeeping to use QuickBooks? Carla, no, you don't have to. That's also something I find people that are like accountants are like, people who aren't accountants shouldn't be using QuickBooks. I'm like, that's who QuickBooks was designed for. QuickBooks was designed for like a business owner. It was designed for a bookkeeper. It was designed for somebody who maybe doesn't know everything. But yet I still try to explain it to you so that you understand debits and credits. You still understand what you need to know to be able to do your business, right? Because not everybody is a tax professional. Some people don't think they're even good at math, but that doesn't mean you can't use QuickBooks. That's the benefit of it. If you have checks and balances in place, it'll make sure you don't make mistakes. Let's see what other questions you guys have. Nope, you have enrollment till tomorrow at 9 p.m. Pacific. Yep, makes sense. Okay. Been using QuickBooks for 5 years and frustrated and want to use it better. Then it's the perfect fit for you. Do you have lifetime access to the training videos? And did you say the cleanup is included? The cleanup for bank accounts and credit cards inside Commons QuickBooks is included. Yes, it's a bonus that you get. My husband and I are an S corporation needing to learn so much about equity to understand how well or not we are doing. I think equity is a piece of it, but understanding your profit and loss, Kathy, is a big part of what I would be spending my time on and how you're customizing it. So if you're part of QuickBooks Simplified and you want to add Confidence QuickBooks, you can, or you can always pause QuickBooks Simplified and join Confidence QuickBooks and see if you still want it. They do focus on different things. QuickBooks Simplified is focused on cleaning up mistakes. I typically recommend it after going through Commons QuickBooks because if you don't have the foundation, you're going to keep making mistakes. And that's Commons QuickBooks where we teach you the foundational things. You do get access to some of the bonus training on cleaning up to give you an example of what that's like. And you can add Simplified later. But I would start with Confidence QuickBooks. Okay. I'm getting double payments when I reconcile my credit card. Not sure. Okay, so most likely, it only says owner on the little chat, but most likely that's coming from not understanding that when you're using bank feeds in QuickBooks, I'm assuming you're probably doing bank feeds, which is partly causing your problem. So here's a little quick tip for you. When you're doing close this real quick. When you're doing bank feeds, what most people don't understand is that when you enter in one transaction, it actually enters them into two places. So when you're adding in your checking account to your credit card, you only need to add it once, either in the bank or in the credit card, and then you match the bank, okay? You don't enter it in both places. Let me know if that makes sense. So sometimes people add it in the checking account and then they add it again in the credit card. Now you've had it doubled. You only do one and then you match it. That will save you from having any issues, okay? Let me go back. Let me see what other questions. You guys learning something? Share with me any ahas you've had so far. I'm using QuickBooks Online. How do you change an invoice from paid to unpaid? Well, the reason it's showing paid is because you have a payment applied against it. The only way to show it as unpaid would be to remove the payment. But if you already have the payment in the system, the question would be, why do you want to remove it? Does that make sense? Why, when you try to enter a rule on an account in a checking account, why does it put the account amount in 2 times? Your rule is not set up properly. What I would say is the way it works in accounting, and even though you don't have to know accounting, I'm going to teach it to you, but in a fun way, inside Commons QuickBooks, is in accounting, you always have 2 accounts that are impacted. As I was saying, the bank account and the credit card. The same is true when you're looking at how you enter in your any transaction, right? So for example, when you're creating a rule, you're saying it came out of this bank account and I want it to go to this one. If you select the bank account again, it's doing nothing because it's in and out of the same account. It needs to be a different account. I think that's what your question is, Amy. I'm trying to reconcile for the first time. Shopify is connected. There are transactions that came in through the bank feed and went into different accounts. This won't allow me to balance. I'd have to see what you're talking about, but you'll notice inside of Confidence QuickBooks, the bank feed, this is what a lot of people don't understand, but you're here and you're watching the replay and you're getting this, which is the bank feed is considered non-posting transactions. So anything sitting in here, especially that hasn't already been added, isn't automatically going to show in your register, right? Until you actually add it, it's non-posting. Estimates, when you create an estimate for a customer or sales order, you're like saying, this is something that could happen, but it didn't happen. Bank feeds are the same way. You always want to turn off the auto add, do not have that on. Biggest recommendation for you, you will thank me later. Message me when you realize that was such a blessing. And you're like, that tip was worth it. But then also, you want to go in and you want to make sure that you set up your rules, because rules are great if they're set up right. That's one of the things we cover in the Mastering Bank Feeds training inside Commons QuickBooks. Okay, let's see. What other questions you guys have? I have difficulty comprehending and getting frustrated easily. Is bookkeeping something I should try to do? I desperately need a change. Do you mean you have a different kind of job and you're considering doing bookkeeping? I mean, if it's not for your own business and you're considering bookkeeping, you'd really want to like enjoy the process. If you don't feel like you enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. I don't know how else to explain it than that. It's kind of like I teach you step by step how to do it. But you should ask yourself if you're like thinking, I have all unlimited jobs. Is bookkeeping the right one? That's only a question you can answer. If you want to know, can I help you learn it? Absolutely. Or if it's for your own business. But I wouldn't say like you should start doing bookkeeping necessarily, unless you love it. I'm all about you should do the things in life you love. Even within my own team, like they'll come to me, and when I first hire them, I hire them for like a role, but then I watch and I see what their strengths are. Like Brady and my team loves doing graphics, but Daniel and my team would never want to do graphics, and he's going to laugh at that because it's like not his zone of genius, but like technology and syncing all the software is like where his zone of genius lies, right? So if you're like, should I start bookkeeping? I'm like, I don't know. Are you good at it? Do you want to do it? If you could do anything in the world, is that what you'd want to do? That's a different conversation than like, I'm already doing bookkeeping, but I don't understand QuickBooks. Or I have a business and I need to track my finances. Then I think QuickBooks is a skill you need. I don't know if that answers your question. You guys, I'm going to give you the honest answer. I'm not going to lie to you. That's my opinion. Since I've been using QuickBooks for 17 years and only have some errors to be corrected. So Judy, the question would be, how you decide if Commons QuickBooks is the right fit for you is, do you feel like you understand how to use the software? Can you read your profit and loss? If anything comes across your desk, do you know how to enter it? If the answer is yes to those, then no, you don't need Commons QuickBooks. It's not the right fit for you. It's for the people who don't understand how to enter their transactions, how to set up the software, how to read the reports, how to reconcile, all of the things we've been talking about. Told you guys, honest truth here. We have a rental property and flip houses. Is there specific training in the course geared to that? Rental properties, yes. Flipping houses is going to be like anything, in that the one thing I could give you, and there is tips about this, I would recommend, it may be a good idea for you to add some implementation calls if you have questions. You can ask them inside the community. But the one thing I would give you for flipping houses is, since you're going to resell the house, one tip I'd give you is all of the expenses, I would put those in as improvements if you're not already doing that. When you like buy the property and you fix it up, instead of expensing it, you want to capitalize as much of it as possible. So you want to put it in as improvement. So you have I talk about this inside Commons QuickBooks, but you have the asset, the original piece of property, equipment, whatever it is, real estate or a vehicle. If you make improvements to it, you set that up as a sub account and then of the asset and track it that way. I'm specifically interested in learning journal entries need to be made for closing statements. We can help you with that as much as possible. One thing to know is it'll just depend on some of that we can give you. Some of it's going to be adjustments the tax professionals can do at the end of the year. But you're going to when you purchase it, you're going to add the asset. When you sell it, you're going to remove that. You're going to have your gain or loss on the asset. Those are the kinds of things. Talk about the 12 payment option. It's just 12 installments. It's the same. They're just smaller installments, same training. In your opinion, how long will desktop be accessible? I have no idea. I do know that they still have a huge group of people who only want desktop. So I think as long as people pay subscription for now, they'll keep it. I haven't heard of like a time frame. If I do, I'll let you guys know. So Corinna asked, can I postpone the start date? It's lifetime access, so it doesn't matter when you start it. If you're going to be traveling, it'll just be there for you when you come back at any time. It's lifetime access, so just come back to it when it makes sense for you. QuickBooks Desktop, Enterprise, if you like it, you can go there. There are some functionalities that doesn't have it otherwise. Does the integration feeds start at the point you set it up? You choose it. which is what I teach you inside the bank feeds training in module 4. You have access to the whole training. So if you're like, I really want to understand bank feeds, go to the 4th module. I do recommend going in sequential order. But that will help you like literally set it up from scratch of like what date range should you use. Whenever we're talking about QuickBooks, you always want to think about what time frame do I want to start filing my taxes. So if you're like, I want to file my taxes for all of 2025 and you don't have that in there, you're going to need to do that. If you're like, I'm 3 years behind on my taxes, then choose that date range. If you're like, I just want to start as of January 1st, 2026, then you pick that date range. I have a credit memo that was not applied when my client changed to online. So you're going to want to go in and apply it. It won't even let me change the date. Probably have to have a screenshot and you could put that inside Commons QuickBooks and let us see it so we can give you a suggestion. Yes, Amanda, this is for, we have business owners, team members, bookkeepers, and CPAs inside Commons QuickBooks. It's meant for anybody who wants to learn the software and track it. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just going through the questions. My desktop looks a bit different than yours. Well, I'm on the accountant version, but it should look the same if you have a newer version. What year is your desktop? Mine's 2024. They still call mine 2024 in my pay subscription because nothing's changed. They just give me the updates, but they didn't relabel the year because basically they don't do a new software anyway. My credit memos are not applied, showed to the report. So the credit memos have 2 places, Anne. One is in the like line item description and one's at the top. So you're gonna want to check and see which one you're putting in and probably need to put in the other one. Thank you for explaining the difference between cash accrual. You're welcome. The guided implementation is, you can choose to do it for a year or monthly. And somebody asked me to review and explain that. I can do that for you. Hold on, let me pull it up. Bump, bump, bump. It's driving me crazy that my screen doesn't want to share properly, but I don't want to break it, so I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, so we talked about this more on our live calls last week that we did, but here, so this is if you want to do 6 installments. This is 6 monthly installments, so 1 today and 1 every, once a month for 5 additional. You can pay in full and save. The bonuses are the same, or you could do the 12 pay and the bonuses are the same. You're just going to pay a little bit more at the 12 pay or the 6 pay because you're doing installments. Here you can choose. The one difference between the guided implementation is you get both versions, desktop and online. You also get access to, this is the big difference, monthly calls with me, implementing what you're learning. They're very small group calls. And you get access to our QuickBooks Simplified community, and you get access to some bonus classes as well. One is about starting to build out a team and thinking about who you have in the org chart, and the other one is reset and reflect. And this is about like looking over the last 12 months and then setting goals for your business outside that. And we have 2 ways to join. You can prepay for the year, and you keep Commons QuickBooks Desktop and Online, and the extra payroll masterclass in your informs. You get both variations. Or you can choose to do your first installment for $12.97 and $197, and then $197 a month after that, for as long as you want to come to the calls and ask me questions. Let me know if that made sense. All the details are, I have actually a video right here that explains it, so feel free to check that out. All right, let's see what other questions you guys have. How often does a pillar come out? You actually have a lifetime, you get access immediately. So we used to have where it rolled out 1 per week. And then I'm like, you know what? You guys just get access to all of it. You can go through what you need to. Do you take the class on your own schedule, nights, weekends, whenever works for you? That's what you could do. My husband and I have worked with Intuit since it started, and we're ready to start our own bookkeeping company. Congratulations. So I don't teach how to start a bookkeeping business. I focus, Shelly, on teaching how to use QuickBooks. Now, I give tips and tricks on like things, and our community has ideas, but my focus is more about QuickBooks specifically and not as much about bookkeeping specific. Like being a bookkeeper and getting clients, it's not as much of my focus. Is there an easy way to reconcile for 2025? 1 month at a time with online. Will automatically select it. It's probably your easiest. Sorry if you have been addressed this. How often are the modules released? Oh, you asked me that, but I just answered. That's okay. It's a different person. They're already pre-created, so you just go through them at your own pace when you're ready. If you're like, I'm going to sit down and watch them all now, you can. If you're like, I'm going to do 30 minutes a week for the next, you can do it any way you want. When I transferred from desktop to online, how do I make sure everything's transfers correctly? 2 things. If you have payroll, it's best to just pay the little bit extra for Elite. We're about ready to create another tutorial video on this just to help you guys do it. But the other thing to know is you want to pull your balance sheet and your profit and loss and review that everything matches. Okay? Because sometimes it doesn't import properly. The other thing is if you're going to move from desktop to online, it is best practice to have all of your books as clean as possible in desktop before you move to online, because you just bring it all with you. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay. I think I answered that question for Jill. In the sales tax discussion, do you address business use tax versus sales tax? Some. The one thing I will tell you is that QuickBooks does not have a natural way to track use tax. It only has sales tax. So you have to do workarounds to be able to track sales use tax within QuickBooks. Bank feeds are where you sync QuickBooks to your bank. Judy, you probably heard me say that. Some of these questions were a while ago. I'll try to catch up. Is it not through the bank feed website? No, the bank brings the transactions into your QuickBooks. Like you put your username and password in it. I only can upload, I only have PDF statements. That's fine. You can upload those. Okay. It's because I was doing this live on YouTube and Facebook instead of when I usually do my classes. I do it straight through just Zoom. So when it was sharing, it was a little bit blurry. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can watch this later at home. If you just go to CandiceCamphor.com/live or Q&A, either one, it will put you to the right place. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Do you get to practice what you're learning from the program/training, like exercises? So I designed it for people who are actually doing bookkeeping for people, not as much like a college course, because a lot of people take college courses, come to me and they're like, I didn't learn anything. I'm like, it's because it's pre-canned. So instead, I'm teaching you the why behind what you're doing and how to do it. It's best practice if you can do it with an example. So even if you're like, I don't really need to do my own bookkeeping, but I want to learn, I would grab your personal bank statement and go into a sample or a test drive file and just put in transactions. It's not going to save it anyways. It's just a fake file. And then at the end of the usage, it's gone, but it allows you to practice. So that's how I would do it. Okay. I have a business and my wife has one as well. Can we use the same QuickBooks account or do we have to have another subscription? Daryl, it'll depend if it's different EIN numbers. So you can use custom fields or you could kind of track it within your chart of accounts. Classes is the best if you want to do like separation between businesses. You need to be on one of the top 2 tiers to do that. So it depends on what features you need. It may be more cost effective to use one version, each of you have your own at the simple start, than it is to be on one of the higher tiers, but that's up to you. Yeah, if you have vendors and customers who are exactly the same, you just need to put in their name or put in a letter behind it. Yeah. Will there be a replay? Sure. Yeah, you can access it on our blog, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere that we've been, you'll be able to access it. You can use the QuickBooks test drive to be able to get your sample. How do I input a loan balance that was never entered? The loan was closed in 2024 and I'm trying to enter the balance as of January 1st, 2025. So if the loan was closed in 2024, you wouldn't enter it unless you're trying to do an adjusting entry to get it off the books January 1st. What should I do if my contractor isn't issued a 1099 and their business has closed? You could always still submit one and mail it to them. Even if their business is closed, they still have to file taxes. So just so you guys know, the guided training and it's the same thing. So Commons QuickBooks is pre-created. The difference is sometimes people want to ask me questions, so I gave an opportunity to be able to come like visit with me live. We still have our support either way. If you do self-paced, you still get the support. You can just add the guided, but Confidence with QuickBooks is the same training either way. I'm just helping you implement what you're learning there. Somebody said, what is the training? Is it better? It's just different. One is more like, for those of you who are like, I want additional support, people ask me all the time, like, can I do it? And I'm like, no, I don't do private sessions. So I do host group calls for Commons QuickBooks implementation. So you get access to that and you can come for a year. Because sometimes people are like, I just want you to help me for the next so many months. If you're not sure if you want to do a year, you can always you save if you do a year, but if you want, you can do the monthly, which is a secondary option of implementation. Or as you go to buy the self-paced, it'll give you an opportunity, whether you do payments, you want to pay it off in full, or you do the other to add it. So you can check it out. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. I love your encouragement. Thank you. All right. So much as I just want to, so you liked my story about it's true though. I was teaching at the Builders Exchange and he came and I was like, oh, that's a really good life lesson. I didn't have employees. I didn't have a team at the time. So I understand now why. He still wanted to learn it. So my business coach says a lot of business owners will dump money, trying to hire somebody to do something, just like outsource it. Maybe you're doing this in other aspects of your business. And the thing is that like just dumping money at a problem doesn't always fix it that you don't want to deal with. And that's what a lot of people do with bookkeeping. They'll hire bookkeepers and they're like, still don't know what's going on, or I don't know, I can't make any decisions. I was actually helping somebody in Commons QuickBooks, but she had more than one business and I was helping her with the one business. And I was like, well, what about this other business? She's like, oh, I have a bookkeeper for that. I'm like, oh, okay. And we start talking about, she's like, yeah, I don't understand it, but I have a bookkeeper. I'm like, okay, we need to talk about why you're not willing to like look at that business. And that's the thing is I see a lot of business owners are just like, I'll just pay somebody else. I just don't want to deal with it. I get that, but there's another way to get support, which is like still have somebody else helping you while understanding something or not ignoring it and still putting time and energy into that. And that's one of the things my business coach taught me and I try to lean into as much as possible. I still have people who help me. I really don't do my own bookkeeping that much, but I still look at my reports, and then when something gets put in wrong, I know, and I go communicate with her about that, and then we get it fixed, versus just assuming that your bookkeeper just does everything perfect. You should be looking at your reports, and when things aren't where you want them to be able to adjust them. Does your training actually teach you how to do QuickBooks? Yes. Yes, that is the whole Confidence of QuickBooks focus is QuickBooks. Okay. Yeah, you'll get an email as we update it. Like we're getting ready to put out, they're just finishing the tinkers with the edits for what you need to know about W-2s for the qualified overtime tracking. And when we get it, you'll get it. Okay, I've talked about the difference. The guided implementation is either $1,297 plus $197 a month to come to the calls, or you can prepay for $2,997. Does the training cover how to effectively implement rules? Yes, you want to go to the bank feeds mastery training in module 4 for that. When do you clean up QuickBooks? Wait, when you do the cleanup in QuickBooks and don't have to affect the previous, is that possible? Yes, I teach you how to do that in the cleanup bonus for the bank account and credit cards as a bonus inside Commons QuickBooks. And then if you need other areas like vendors and stuff, I'd consider adding QuickBooks Simplified when it's the right fit for you, but you first want to learn how to do it right so you don't keep making mistakes. Okay. I hit that button by accident. It's funny. You guys are just talking amongst yourselves. That's fine. I use Square for payments and subtract the bank fee deposit bank fees. How do I post the fee into QuickBooks? So the way you do it is you do the full income amount, and I walk you through this in Pillar 4, and then you take or Pillar 3, you take out the merchant fee. So that's what actually went to your bank. The reason is you get a 1099K if you exceed $20,000 in 200 transactions from your merchant. They'll give you 1099K, and you want that amount to match on your profit and loss. A lot of times people try to just do like the difference in the merchant fee is their income, but it's really income minus a fee is how you want to do it in your QuickBooks. That's best practice. I have reconciled and have money paid left over. Not sure what that means. But if you saying it doesn't balance out to zero, it means you're missing some pieces of the puzzle. You want to go back. You either don't have all your expenses, all your income, your beginning balance is off, or your ending balance. It's one of those four fundamental things. Mathematical equation, it has to be one of those. I moved from desktop to online in February of 2025, but when I changed to online, I did January 1st, or January 2020. You should start reconciling January 1st. That way you know everything for the year is correct. In desktop doing invoices, why are the expenses the only thing that can add markup? You can add markup on, what do you mean other than expenses? Like, what are you trying to do, Carla? You'll have to let me know. Because the reality is anything you pay for that you're bringing over, but those are still expenses. So that's why it's like, I just want to make sure I understand. 2018, yeah, your QuickBooks will look a little bit different than mine if you're using 2018. The concepts still are true for desktop, but it'll look a little bit different. Is this training to teach you how to actually do QuickBooks? I came in like, yes, it is. Welcome. If you're just getting here. Is there any way you can add text message options for payments instead of just email reminders? I don't know. You can email my team and they can find out. I don't know. That's Daniel. See, he's a tech guy. I'll ask him. You want to take out the fee if you have merchants. Where is the cleanup QuickBooks and how much is that, please? It's part of the bonus inside Comms QuickBooks related to bank and credit cards. I also need help with distributions. Yeah, so Comms QuickBooks would be a good fit because it includes those topics as well. What do you do if the person I work for does not want to pay for multiple QuickBooks, so I have to use the same one for multiple entities? Ideally, you'd have classes set up. Otherwise, custom fields. They used to have tags. If you already have tags set up, you can keep using them. But if you didn't have tags, then custom fields is a new feature that you can use. I already answered your question about Square. So you do the main and then you have to subtract the fee. I become a virtual assistant and one of the things I offer is bookkeeping. Congratulations. I love your teaching style. I'll be doing the course. We'd love to have you. Okay, so I think I got through all those questions. Trying to do 1099s now is showing my contractor is showing, I don't think that's showing under where. I don't think that's what you mean. I don't know what that means. That's funny. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment because I think a few of you have a few more questions and then we'll wrap up. We've been here a little longer than I planned, but that's okay. Ask me any question you have today. You have till tomorrow to decide, so you might as well do it. How long does it take to go through the modules? About 20 hours total, but you don't need to learn everything unless you want to know all functionalities. Meaning, if you're not going to use invoices, you can skip that part of the training. If you're going to do sales receipts, you'll watch that one. And in each module, I talk about like what to do. Did I show you inside Comms QuickBooks? I feel like I was answering questions. Maybe I didn't even do that. Let me show you. And then I'll take a moment to share from our alumni, and then we'll wrap up for any other questions you guys have. So this is what it looks like inside Comms QuickBooks. So you're going to go through the welcome in your different trainings. You'll see the bonuses in here that we talked about. You also have the payroll masterclass year in forms course. That'll be in your overall library that you'll have access to right here. And you'll choose whether you're desktop or online. And you'll come through. So if you were looking at, like some of you were talking about your 1099s are off, you'll notice you come in here at the very top. I talk about like, what is a vendor? What do you need to be tracking and why? And then we go through everything. It's all little pieces. It's how it's meant to be designed. And then if you do have issues with 1099s, that's going to be here. If you're wanting to learn about property management, that's going to be in the bonus section, that kind of thing, just so you guys kind of know what it looks like. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to share what our alumni said about being part of this community, and then I'll come back. And if you have any other questions, we'll answer those, and then we'll wrap up.
I am not a bookkeeper. And so I put the QuickBooks on the computer and I just basically followed all the prompts.
A community college here had a course. When I started, I didn't know for sure if I was doing it right or not.
It's like they show you these videos. Let's start here. And they tell you, click this, click that, click this, click that. Why am I clicking on that?
And I found the tutorials to be kind of obscure and not very user-friendly that were offered through QuickBooks itself.
After a year of doing that and still not feeling like I'd been trained the way I was told I would be trained.
I didn't learn a thing.
There's just some people you don't mesh with and you don't understand how they teach and it just doesn't work. I had somebody come in and sit with me And I knew right away it wasn't going to work.
I had nightmares about putting numbers in wrong places. I had nightmares of adding rather than subtracting. And it was truly the most stressful experience.
And I was like, I'm going to drown.
There were times where I'm like, I just don't quite understand what I'm doing.
Oh, is this really the right way to do it? Is this the most efficient way? Is this the best way?
QuickBooks is easier than you think if you have someone that will walk you through the process.
Like I said, QuickBooks is as good as the information you put in it.
And one day I ran across Candace Confidence with QuickBooks, and I, looked at one video and I said, that one sounds pretty interesting, and she sounds very uplifting.
I looked you up on the internet. I started watching your videos. And then when I seen Confidence with QuickBooks, I was like, what is this? And so I started doing my research and I was like, I'm going to dive in. I have nothing to lose at this point.
And so I went to YouTube and I found it and I was like, I need this.
And when I found yours, you're so friendly and so down to earth.
God, I totally get what she's doing. I like how she speaks to the audience.
I just wrote little notes and I kept you up on one of my screens in case I had to go back to you for help.
I like how you have it broken up so that I can go back and just look at specific things too that apply to me.
She has an easy way of explaining things so that it's ABC, simple, not words that I'm like, huh? What'd you say again? It's very simple and it's easy to follow through.
It's just been that resource in my back pocket that I really need to be able to do with QuickBooks and keep moving.
And you make it so much less stressful.
So it's nice to be able to not have to pay an accountant for everything.
And experiencing that convinced me to do the whole course.
And I was like, oh, okay, another course. When should I take it? And I was thinking maybe not. It was almost tax season and I'm going to be really busy. And I just thought about it. And then the light bulb came on and it's like confidence. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, to have confidence when I'm using QuickBooks.
I get this little note saying, we're going to start up the class if you want to join. Man, I think I was probably the first one.
It's been a lot more helpful than I expected it to be.
And then you end up surprising yourself by learning so much more.
Your classes have been great. And I love your spirit. I just love your attitude.
I would tell that individual to sign up. It's worth every penny.
I do know that it pays for itself. And
definitely think it's beneficial.
I wish I had done it earlier.
You really enjoy what you do. And that's something that you cannot fake.
If I can get it and tweak my books the way she taught me, anybody can do it.
And I honestly don't think that I would be where I am. I was a day or two away from quitting my job when I found you. And I don't know that I would still be working here had I not clicked on your YouTube. Okay, I'll try one more YouTube video and see if I can finally get it through my thick skull. So I honestly don't know if I would still be here had I not found you, Candace. Thank you. Truly, from the bottom of my heart.
And so I thank God that I found you.
So the reason I share that is that they've all been where you are, and they share their story to inspire you to know on the other side of learning QuickBooks what it's like. It's really hard for me to watch it without kind of getting a little teary-eyed because I love the difference it makes in your life, and it's the whole reason I teach QuickBooks. So if you're thinking, can I do this? You can. If you're doubting it, it's possible. Go to commonquickbooks.com, look at if you scroll down, you'll see all of their individual videos. Whether you are trying to do books for your family, you're a tax professional, you're considering doing bookkeeping, we have someone who's been in your shoes that's wants you to know that it's possible. So check those out. Let me know if you have any other questions. So their confidence with QuickBooks is, we have it as a special rate through tomorrow. You can do the prices that we talked about, like the investment of $197 over 6 installments, $997, pay in full. Those are going to be through tomorrow. So make sure if it's something you've been wanting to do, you can do it. Let's see, what other questions you guys have? I want to make sure I answer them. I did that one. I can't get a W-9 from my contractor. You're going to just put zeros in from them if you can't get it. Just know that you may not want to pay that person to do work with you in 2026 till they fill out that form to make your life easier. Thank you so much, Candace, for doing this. Aw, you're amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so excited. Just convinced my husband to take your training this morning. Haven't been able to get it off my mind. Aw, well, we look forward to seeing you. Yeah, we'll have our calls. So see you if you decide to do that. So what do I do in QuickBooks? Just put the EIN number as zeros, 00000. If it won't let you, then you're really realistically not going to be able to provide them a 1099. It's not the end of the world, as I would say to my children. Don't let it cause you to stay up at night. It's sleeping. Just move forward. Really, the whole purpose of the 1099s is for the IRS gets a copy of it and to make that guy pay his taxes. If it won't accept the zeros, it should. But if it won't, or you're having an issue with that, just breathe. It's okay. Move on with the rest of your 1099s and learn from the lesson to get the information next time. But there isn't one for items. So you should be able to add markup even on your items, Carla. It might be how you have it set up. You can send us a little, if you're inside Comms QuickBooks, just post and we'll get you a link. Especially a desktop. I don't know if I have to look at how the markup system works in online, but we can get you some information on that. How would someone has a nutrition club? Wait, what is this? I always love the different businesses you guys are in. It's so fascinating to me. Who sells shakes and other healthy food items, utilize QuickBooks. So Judy, what I would say is, so one thing I don't teach, but you can ask me on our calls if you choose to, or you have some questions, you can post them in the group, is about inventory as much, because most people don't need it. But you would decide, do you need to track inventory? So the benefit of inventory within QuickBooks is that as you're buying things, it puts it as an asset. And then when you sell it, it now becomes an expense. It's called the matching principle. So like when I receive the money, when I sell it, it's an expense to me. Depending on how quickly you sell your shakes and your other healthy food items, you could just choose to put it as a cost of goods expense for them. And then your income, and you wouldn't need to do inventory, you keep it really basic. So QuickBooks would track like all of the things you purchase, all the things you sell. It can do inventory if you need it. But that would be the benefit. It would give you a profit and loss to see how profitable you are. And it could give you, if you do inventory, like what you buy it for, what you sell it for, and your overall gross profit margin on every item that you sell. It just depends how much tracking you want to do and if that makes sense for your business, the size of your business, and the time you have. If you choose both desktop and online, do you jump in and out of the different modules? No. Commons QuickBooks Desktop only has desktop training. Online only has online in the training itself. The core training. So we just have Commons QuickBooks, that's the price that we talked about. If you want to add calls, you can for the guided implementation. Sorry, it's estimates, not invoices. Okay, I was like, I'm sure it does a markup. Okay, good. We got that figured out. Okay, any other questions before I go? Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for coming and chatting with me live. It's boring if I'm just here by myself. It would not be near as interesting, not as many questions. So thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you have questions, you can email us at support@kansascamper.com. I'm gonna have lunch now, but what I'll probably do later, you can go to Comms QuickBooks to join, is you can email us. Let me put that up for you as well, at support@kansascamper.com if you have questions. Later today, I'll be available by chat at Commons QuickBooks, and tomorrow I'll be available for chat. So if you have questions, you happen to be seeing this and it's Thursday, come chat with me. I do actually do chat. Sometimes Jill helps me out if I get really busy. Sometimes I'll have like 10 chats going on at one time. So if I get really busy or it takes me a moment to respond, please be kind and patient. It takes a moment, but I am there. And email us if you have any other questions. Who allows me to use his QuickBooks Pro account? Yeah, so you can So like I'm a pro advisor, so I get an account with it. So I get that one. If you want an additional one, you could reach out as a tax professional and see if they'll give you one with QuickBooks. But I think that's everything. Thank you. I enjoyed this evening. Oh, I'll be joining this evening. Well, we'll happy to have you. Your calm way of teaching. Thank you. I mean, I think accounting should be fun. I don't think it should be boring, and I think learning should be fun. So I have 2 boys, but my youngest is 8, and I remember last year he was in 2nd grade, and he's like, Mom, I don't really learn anything in school. He probably still feels like that, but I had this cool conversation with him. I said, well, you know why you feel that way? Is because you didn't used to know how to do math. You didn't know you used to how to do reading. You didn't know how to spell all these great words you know how to spell. It's like, you're right, Mom. I'm like, that's a sign of a great teacher. You learn and you don't even know you're learning. Or sometimes you could feel like, oh, wow, I'm learning so much, right? Either direction. But I mean, that's why I love to teach, is to make life easier for you and your business, and for you to grow it and expand it and be able to give back and have time with your family and all the things that actually matter for you. So our thought of the day that we started with, do you remember? This is how we started this. We started with the thought of the day, which is one of the things I love to do in my community. I choose peace. Life does not want you to suffer. You struggle because you let life love you only so much. Where there is drama in your life, let grace in. Remember to be patient with yourself whenever you're learning something new. Your brain sometimes kind of feels like, I don't get this. You want to listen again. If you want to check out this replay, you want to watch this again, we will have it available. Just give us a couple minutes to process it, and I will see you all soon. Thank you for being part of my community. Thank you for hanging out with me. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. If I missed any of your questions in the chat, it was never on purpose. Just email us, and I will see you soon. I look forward to helping you in 2026 with your QuickBooks journey to make it your best year yet. We're only in January. Even if you're like, I wish I put a restart on January with all the crazy stuff that's happening, you can make a change moving forward, and we'll be here to support you. All right? Until next time. Toodaloo.